I am Burak. I am the founder of Etohum. Etohum is the accelerator in Turkey, Istanbul, located in Istanbul. And this is the second meeting that we are organizing in San Francisco. We are bridging the Turkish ecosystem, internet ecosystem with the valley. And we hope that the entrepreneurs will bridge and the cultures will mixture and getting the best examples from here to Istanbul and vice versa. And we will be also gathering all the founders who have been successfully operating in Turkey and also the entrepreneurs here living in San Francisco Valley. And we will be also meeting lots of expats, investors, and a lot of professionals here. This is basically what is going to be happening today. I am Burak. I am the founder of Etohum. Etohum is the accelerator in Turkey, Istanbul, located in Istanbul. And this is the second meeting that we are organizing in San Francisco. We are bridging the Turkish ecosystem, internet ecosystem with the valley. And we hope that the entrepreneurs will bridge and the cultures will mixture and getting the best examples from here to Istanbul and vice versa. And we will be also gathering all the founders who have been successfully operating in Turkey and also the entrepreneurs here living in San Francisco Valley. And we will be also meeting lots of expats, investors, and professionals here. This is basically what is going to be happening today. So welcome. I am Burak, founder of Etohum. Excited to be here. This is the second Etohum meeting that we are organizing in San Francisco. Last year it was a small community, which also Eren and Umur was there. I am very excited that the community is growing and these kind of events have more attraction in San Francisco, especially the Turkish community. This year, there are lots of speakers coming from Turkey, the leading internet companies in Turkey, successful stories. Let me briefly tell who I am, and also what we are doing in Turkey. Etohum is the accelerator located in Istanbul. We are selecting every year 40 startups, training them, mentoring them, and also seed investing some of the companies that we selecting every year. We have done 40 investment in last 6 years. Half of them failed already. And the 20% goes successful. Successful means they are living, they have angel investment, but we haven't exited yet. One of the problems in Turkey, the exits are very problematic in Turkish internet market. So additional to that, entrepreneurs have different kinds of culture in Turkey, and we will be in next rounds bringing lots of entrepreneurs and startups to Silicon Valley in order to match them and also have the sense of Silicon Valley roads and streets, and have the ability to meet lots of other entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. Every year we select the 40 startups and mentor them, and afterwards they pitch to our angel investor. Some of them get VC investments. Although the Turkish internet startup community is kicking off last 3-4 years, there are some Franco market. This is very in the beginning of their early days. So these kind of meetings are important for the Turkish community, in my point of view. Most of the countries have these kind of meetings, especially in San Francisco, and meeting lots of people and coming together to share their knowledge. So this is the second one that we are organizing. I am very happy to be here. And we also organize lots of meetings in Turkey, 50 meetings every year. It is also important gathering through people and meeting them is important, especially in Turkey. Also, we are live broadcasting to Turkey this event. Welcome again. I will hand out Alan, who is a close friend. Also, he knows Turkey ecosystem very well, and he has been in Istanbul many times. Welcome, Alan.
Thanks, Burak. Thank you very much. You can clap if you want. Clap for Burak. Thank you again for having me here and for letting me kind of kick off this session, which there's going to be a lot of great speakers, I think, over the course of the afternoon. I didn't realize we were live broadcasting to Turkey. I think people are going to bed probably, but maybe they will stay up late in the night for us. Hey, if you're there, stay up. It's going to be worth it. So my name is Alan Taylor. I run the office for Endeavor here in California. How many folks have heard of Endeavor before in Turkey or elsewhere? Okay, cool. So very quick, thank you for raising both hands, Barış. I appreciate that. Super quick, Endeavor's a global organization that works with high growth, sort of scale up companies. So a couple steps up from sort of startups and incubators. You know, we really are focusing on, we call them high impact entrepreneurs that can go to the next level and create thousands of jobs, we hope, in Turkey and in different countries around the world. So I've known Burak for a long time, really appreciate everything they're doing on the earlier stage side of the ecosystem in Turkey, where Endeavor has been operating for the last 7 or 8 years and have a few kind of great companies we've been able to support so far. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that. But essentially, what I do today, my lens is, over the last 8 years at Endeavor, I spend a lot of time in different markets around the world, and then here in Silicon Valley, sort of listening and trying to figure out what people are thinking about the other markets around the world, in Europe and in parts of the sort of emerging and growth markets. So what I wanted to do today was just give a very, very quick sort of perspective on, you know, this role of being the bridge or the link, I think, between Turkey and Silicon Valley, and how Endeavor actually sees this. You know, so again, Endeavor's place in the world here is we spend a lot of our time with the bigger growing companies in the markets, right? So in Turkey, our portfolio, this is companies like Yemek Sepeti, like Peak Games, like Airties, like Lidiana, not just technology companies, but also some more traditional industries. But they are established, we call them sort of medium-sized, going into being big companies are the ones that we're looking to support. We do that because we believe those are the companies that can actually make the biggest difference. And we hope that many of the earlier stage, of the 20 still surviving from Etohum, we hope that a lot of those guys will actually grow up to be large companies themselves. So in my role at Endeavor, I look at sort of all of our biggest markets around the world. So I spend time in Brazil, in Mexico, in Indonesia, in South Africa, in large parts of Latin America and the Middle East, and of course in Turkey. And my biggest observation is that in spite of, you know, crazy headlines and political turmoil and all the things that you read about in the newspaper for Turkey, Turkey actually remains a really interesting and exciting market for entrepreneurship, and one that I think will be globally even more important over the next decade. So I really do think there's very good news there. In fact, we had an event yesterday with about 15 Silicon Valley investment firms meeting entrepreneurs from Turkey and the Middle East and Latin America and all over. And one of the investors, I think, really put it well when he said, man, the BRICS really are last decade, right? So Brazil, Russia, India, China. This really is going to be the decade for the mint economies. How many of you have heard of the mint economies yet? Okay, so the mints are Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria, and can you guess what the T is for? Turkey. Good guesses. So I actually think events like this are super important, because if you think about the innovation economy and kind of the early stage entrepreneurial ecosystem in a place like Istanbul, you know, the more links we can make to Silicon Valley, the stronger that's going to be in the coming years. And certainly Endeavor wants to play a role in that. You know, my office here and my team want to play a role in that. I want to be a part of that, because I think it's really important for people to have mentors and to have networks and to be able to talk to people who've worked at hyper-growth companies and understand exactly how that works, right? So for some of you in the room who maybe you grew up in Turkey and now you work at, you know, Twitter or Google or Apple or eBay, you're actually an important part of that ecosystem too, right? Because being able to talk to people about how things work at those companies is really interesting, I think, and relevant. So the other thing that Endeavor thinks a lot about, and I think a lot about, is really how do you form an entrepreneurial ecosystem, right? What are all the pieces and parts? And, you know, there's tons of great information out there now and lots of great blogs, and actually, you know, lots of great people in this room, I think, who would be fantastic to answer that question. But I think there are three parts that are really, really important to me that I wanted to kind of emphasize and give as a lens as you listen to the different speakers today to think about. And the first one is really probably the core of what Endeavor does, but it's mentorship, right? And maybe if you live in Silicon Valley, you live in San Francisco or the Bay Area, you take that for granted. But the concept of actually being a mentor and helping somebody, and helping them without any expectation of getting anything back, but just helping them because you want to help, you know, or we say sometimes in California you call this help first, right? Don't wait to see what they can do for you, but actually do something first and help. You know, that is a really important and key concept for every one of these entrepreneurial ecosystems around the world. And the more people embrace mentorship and the more entrepreneurs become mentors, not that I think matters a lot is investment. And so that's early stage investment from angels and seed funds and accelerators. And, you know, Endeavor operates in 20 different markets. In my perspective, Turkey is either the second or third most active market in terms of this early stage investment starting to happen, right? So in the places we work, Brazil probably has the most active market there, and then second is either Mexico or Turkey. Not that I'm putting you against Mexico in some sort of World Cup battle now. But I think that part really does matter. And it's not just about dollars and money, it's about, you know, mentality and time and you know, people use this buzzword smart capital, but that's a real thing, right? Actually being able to help companies when you make an investment as an angel or as a seed fund or as an accelerator, I think matters a lot. Barack is on his phone, so I must not be saying anything very important. I don't know. He's bored. He's tweeting. Okay, fair enough. The third and last thing that I think really matters a lot it is this concept of role models, right? So of successful entrepreneurs who have been there and done that, who have really built something, then staying involved and staying a part of the ecosystem matters a lot. And so I think one of the speakers later today is going to be Sina Afra from Marcofoni. I think is a fantastic example of a company, you know, that really over 5 years experienced tremendous growth and is an example, I think, to others. And, you know, we need more of those coming out of Istanbul and coming out of Turkey in the next couple of years. So, you know, overall, my perspective globally, I live here in San Francisco and spend about half my life on an airplane, is that, you know, Turkey is a really interesting and compelling market. It is one that for folks who live in Silicon Valley, it's far away, right? So we got to keep working with Turkish Airlines for that direct flight. We don't want to go to LA every single time. So things like that matter. You know, time zones matter, logistics matter, but I do think it's a market, if you think about the global investment community, that folks in London are very interested in Turkey, folks in Europe are interested in Turkey, and increasingly I think we'll have people in Silicon Valley spending time in Turkey and, you know, going over there and exploring the market. Endeavor actually led a trip together with Silicon Valley Bank in December of this past year where we took a dozen top venture capital and LP investors to Istanbul really to see the market for the first time. And Silicon Valley Bank is an interesting partner here because, you know, they did that same thing in China 12 years ago and in Brazil 7 years ago and in Turkey last year, right? So you can kind of see a progression of, you know, what some of the leading indicators are starting to say about the international community and how they look at Turkey. So I'm not an expert in Turkey. I'm an enthusiastic supporter and a fan. And obviously with Endeavor, we hope to do more and more to help the Turkish ecosystem. And with that, I don't know if Barack is going to make me say anything else or ask me any questions, but maybe I'll turn it back over to go to the next speaker. Is that appropriate? Okay. Oh, Barish is going to ask me a question. Yes, sir.
Markets in Brazil and Russia. I know you spent a lot in Brazil, and how Turkey positions in terms of their growth curve.
So I think Turkey has a unique advantage. I mean, Endeavor's in 20 countries. I spend most of my time in the 4 biggest ones. So that is Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia, and Turkey. Turkey has the unique advantage of having a fairly sizable home market and the ability to do business in the region, right? So Brazil is a bigger home market, but has a limitation in that most Brazilians only build businesses for Brazil. I am, you know, cautiously optimistic about some of the businesses we're supporting and actually now investing in with the Endeavor Catalyst vehicle in Turkey, because once they become a market leader in Turkey, I think they do have the ability to go and expand into the MENA region, into Europe, into Russia, into some of the markets. I mean, I jokingly tell my American friends, well, no, the Turks are fearless. They do business everywhere. But that's actually, it seems to be true, right? I mean, if you look at Sepeta as one example, you know, once they really did well in Turkey, they were able to go into and become market leader in several neighboring countries. So I think Turkey is unique in that way where it does have a large home market where you can build a meaningful business just focused on Turkey, but when the time is right, being able to expand into a few different choices of which way you want to go, right? Sort of whether you go towards Europe or towards the East or even into the rest of kind of the Arabic-speaking world. I think those are all interesting opportunities. So in terms of timing, I do think the ecosystem in Brazil for entrepreneurship, early stage investment, tech is a little bit, quote, ahead of Turkey. I think that's probably the most developed market that we work in. But Turkey is clearly second, ahead of Mexico, far ahead of Indonesia. Indonesia is an interesting market because you have lots of smartphones and lots of people online, and you'll see these statistics about Jakarta being the #4 Twitter city or the #2 city on Facebook. But for them, nothing monetizes yet, right? Not enough credit cards, nobody paying. So I think Turkey, in terms of smartphone penetration and payments, is a more compelling market. But yeah, Kutlu. Sure. So the question is, Endeavor has a new co-investment vehicle we set up just 2 years ago, where we have 600 portfolio companies worldwide, and we can now invest into some of them, really the kind of the best of the best. So the question is, how does Turkey rank on Endeavor Catalyst investments? And I think he knows the answer. He's just trying to make me say something very nice about Turkey. Turkey ranks first. We have made 4 investments so far in Turkey. Again, those are some of the companies we mentioned: Yemek Sepeti, Lidiana, Airties, and Peak Games. We have made 3 in Brazil, 3 in Argentina, 2 in Mexico, 1 in Indonesia, and a couple in some other places. So Turkey is in first place, but they got to keep going if they want to keep their ranking. So, okay. Well, hey, thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it. If you are still awake in Istanbul, good job. Keep going, and come on back up, Burak. Tell us what we're going to do next.
Alan, thank you very much. Great words, great speech. Thank you. I would like to invite Eren, who is also entrepreneur here in San Francisco and did a great job in last 3 years. I think Udemy has valuation more than $200 million. You are not going to say that. But he made, awesome job. He's going to tell his experiences, especially probably in Turkey and in Valley. Eren, please, welcome.
Hey guys, this is Eren. I'm a co-founder of Udemy and most recently the chairman. I used to be CEO, just stepped down from that position. I'm enjoying my life right now after all those long years. I'll tell you a very quick story, just as context. So I started Udemy with my co-founder Oktay in Turkey almost 8 years ago. It used to be called No Band. We didn't know anything about what we were doing. And as expected, it failed. And part of the failure was that it was the wrong time, wrong place. So it was wrong time because online learning wasn't a popular subject. All the investors had been burnt out in the early 2000s for investing in education. And also, like, what we wanted to do, casual learning, was kind of non-existing markets. The bandwidths were expensive, so even if we were successful, we wouldn't be able to actually maintain kind of the cost in the levels they had to be. Also, Turkey was the wrong place. So there are certain companies that you have to start in certain areas, because usually the idea of a company is available everywhere. Pretty much everywhere in the world, somebody else will have the same idea you have. Probably when we did Udemy, there were another like 200 people with the same idea, and I at least saw 50 companies getting funded for the same exact idea. So idea is a commodity, so it's available everywhere. So and what happens is, like, everybody has an edge. Like, everybody will have a competitive advantage, and how well you execute on your competitive advantages will actually make you successful or not. So, and Udemy is a marketplace for online courses. So we wanted to create a platform where anybody could teach anything they wanted, and the goal was creating a destination where anybody can learn anything they want to, and in their own time, in their own place. So that's like a really big mission. But what you need to start a company like this is you need a density of influencers. And for that, honestly, Turkey wasn't the right place. The people that most other people are following and are influenced by, usually those influencers tend to go to certain locations. I mean, New York is a big hub, and in Europe, like Paris, London are big hubs, and in Turkey, Istanbul is a big hub. If we were thinking about actually Turkey market itself, we should have been in Istanbul, not even Ankara. So we were in Ankara back then. So that's why I think like the location was a problem for us. So what we did was we failed in our first attempt, and there was a kind of change in rules. So all of my co-founder and all of our employees had to go for military service, and I came to US 3 days before my due date. But I thought that there was still a merit in what we were doing. Normally, when you fail, sometimes there are legitimate reasons that, for you to fail, but sometimes there aren't. I think we weren't able to give a fair shot in our first trial. And I came here, joined a startup called SpeedDate as one of the first employees. SpeedDate did a decent job. We got 20 million users in 3 years. And we brought a lot of amazing engineers from Turkey to here. I think I lost count to 45 maybe people total. And that was the time when I went to Turkey. Everybody was complaining about why there was no talent in Turkey. So, and I went back and forth, and I was like everybody else. Right? When I failed in Turkey, I thought, oh, Silicon Valley is amazing. Like, people are successful there because they made environment is awesome, ecosystem is perfect. Like everything sucks about Turkey. So I had this opinion. And when I came here, I actually realized I was fairly mistaken. So first of all, we didn't know what we were doing in Turkey. And it wasn't we didn't have the right idea, we weren't executing it right. We actually had very little shot. And we were also stubborn. We actually thought we were really smart and we were arrogant, and we weren't actually getting any feedback. And the failure, what the failure taught me was that I don't know anything. And I came here and I saw all the other people doing startups and how amazing they were. And that made me feel like, okay, there's a lot of things that I have to learn from other people. And then when I started going back and forth, and I realized, actually, in Turkey, there are a lot of people who other entrepreneurs should learn from, and there is a lot of talent. There are a lot of amazing angel investors. Everybody has good intentions. It's actually not that bad. It wasn't we weren't looking at what's available. Because when I came here, it wasn't easy either. We got rejected by at least 70 investors before we got any traction with our investors. And I was we were always the underdog. I can tell you, from the time we started, I don't think anybody thought we would ever be successful. I could see that because when we meet some people, sometimes they would say, oh, this innovative, really nice, cool. But that's when a girl says a boy that he's adorable or cute, instead of trying to become his girlfriend. So you know that they don't think you are going to be successful. They just applause your confidence maybe. And we were always considered underdog. Even we were able to raise some money after a lot of hustle, but still other companies launch, and each time different competitors launch, I knew that our investors thought that they would beat us. I'm just admitting it right now. And it went forever. Then companies like Coursera and Udacity came out, and everybody was saying, oh, these are very famous Stanford professors. How are you going to ever compete with these? They raise so much money. They know all these people. And we had more other investors, other competitors. As the market started seeing traction, then there were more stronger competitors, people who had previously built billion-dollar companies, and they were able to raise a lot of money. So at any time we were underdogs, but it really didn't matter. Actually, being an underdog is really awesome if you're an entrepreneur, because it takes the pressure out of you, and then you can figure out what your competitive advantage is. Because no matter what you are, you always have an edge. So that's the first keyword I think I learned. So edge is very important. You have to have an edge about what you are doing. So our edge was that pretty much everybody in Silicon Valley are coming from these elite universities. They went to Harvard and Yale, and they get a well-paid job, and they usually have rich parents. This is actually majority of Silicon Valley. And there are some immigrant entrepreneurs that runs the world, but they seem exception to the rule. And then one of our edges was that everybody thought about the education problem as a problem of quality. They were complaining about their Stanford education when they were thinking about it, the problems. While we had come from a third world country in their eyes, and I actually went to school I went to primary school in a small village. I was born in a village. I went to school there. So I thought one of our advantages was we were seeing with other people who actually had true like problems. And we thought the problem in education was an access problem. There was high quality education and learning somewhere in the world, but it wasn't accessing most of the people. And we thought, like, how can we scale the access of learning? So this is our edge. And then you need usually one more thing. You need a scope. So if you look at companies like Apple, which have amazing products, I used to look at those and I would understand how they were building those amazing products. Honestly, I was never surprised with how good Apple was. I was more surprised with how much HTC's phone sucked or other companies sucked. Like all these large companies with $1 billion budgets, and they could hire anybody. They could hire the best designer in the world, give him like $50 million, and they couldn't build a good phone or a good product. So you have to understand like, why they cannot like do it, because they should like lack the scope and the focus. So your advantage, especially when you're small, should be that you exactly know what you want to do. They should be really like well targeted. You shouldn't be like, if you go around and try to like invade 10 markets with one product, you won't be able to do it. You have to like choose your markets very clearly. And building a good design, good product is all about knowing your problem very well and knowing your target very well. So when we started Udemy, we said Udemy is going to be a place to learn, like, which will let anybody to learn anything they want. And we said, and we won't do anything else. So if you think about learning and how people learn in other places, like the traditional place is a school or a university, and you can quickly recognize that these are not learning companies. These are education companies. They have a lot of things, they do a lot of things outside learning, and those other activities become so important that they actually don't care about learning at one point. That's actually one of their like smaller, that's one of the smaller things that that take their attention in their daily lives. So by scoping Udemy to only learning and not caring about accreditation, certification, signaling, like how about like employment, recruiting, like these are the things that everybody else was trying to do as a part of learning, and they were trying to make learning a part of it, and we said no, we are going to do only and only learning. Honestly, like that was one of our biggest like advantages in our competition, and even though we were underdogs, like now we make significantly more money than most of our kind of quote competitors combined. I mean, except like the old companies like Linda, they still make more money than us. But like simply, in the matter of 4 years, we sustainably grew. So every month we grew by maybe 15–20%. We never had a lot like a huge PR buzz or anything. It was just what we were doing was working step by step every month. And every next month we were coming again and making it work one more time. So it is like in entrepreneurship, there are no rules for success, right? Everybody is trying to like just build patterns about what makes people successful and what doesn't what makes you like fail. But in reality, like there are exceptions to every rule you can bring up. So you have to kind of understand what your weaknesses are, what your competitive edge is, and you have to suck up all the disadvantages. If you just keep complaining about how other people had better advantages, how people in Silicon Valley can raise more funding, or how like, there are more engineers there. So like you have to just suck it up and do your thing and know your weaknesses and double down on your competitive advantages. And eventually, like you have a shot to make it. All right. I think I have us like scheduled for 15 minutes, so it's been just 15 minutes right now. So if you have questions, I'm happy to take it. All right. Yeah, I think you raise hands. Yeah.
Thank you. So my name is Martha Emerson from Cross Border Angels and Scale. I wanted to ask you, what would be the biggest challenge for you to come here as an international company? You know, is it the money because it is expensive? Is it the cultural nuances? What was the biggest thing that you would recommend for other entrepreneurs that want to come here? That you have to be prepared for, like the biggest challenge on your case.
Yeah, I think visa was the biggest problem. So we came here by working as an engineer in a company. So money wasn't the problem, but visa became a big issue. Like my co-founder had to go back to Turkey for 1.5 years just to get his visa handled. And it's been 6–7 years now. We employ 75 people here. We did we raised a total of $50 million, and I still don't have a green card. So I'm still I'm still at risk, right? So that was a challenge that's kind of hard to overcome because it's government and there's not much you can do as a person. I think there were a lot of other problems, but they're easy to overcome. There are cultural differences, but then you meet some people here and you like adapt yourself. And especially like one of the biggest skills of being an entrepreneur is like being able to adapt different environments. I think as an entrepreneur, my biggest challenge was that I was feeling like, especially in entrepreneurial ecosystems, I was feeling like I was feeling like I wasn't a part of it. So, and like you see, like you come up to a conference or summit where people talk about education, and you realize, okay, everybody's like background is kind of similar, but you are this like black sheep, and you just have to make sure you don't get intimidated from it, and you keep doing it.
Hi, my name is Handan. I come from corporate finance background and currently dabbling around being an entrepreneur. My question to you is, what was your thought process in stepping down as a CEO? Was it personal reasons, or you're looking into?
The top 3 countries, and then we spent like 6 months researching countries and evaluating, putting bunch of coefficients, and came up with the same exact list. So Spain, Germany, the top 3 countries, and then we spent like 6 months. Okay. Switch to the next one.
Eren, thank you.
Thank you.
Barış, it's your turn. Barış has huge experience in Valley, and also he has been recently in Turkey.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Barış Aksoy. I work at Intel Capital, Intel's venture arm. I cover Turkey, Middle East, and North Africa. I used to be in the Valley covering internet and media investments for Intel Capital for a while, and before that I was a startup in the Valley. So Brock asked me to talk about a little things about, like, the Turkish entrepreneurial ecosystem investment, and then, where's Alan? Did he leave already? Oh, right there. He was so enthusiastic, and his cautious optimism is hard to follow. I'm going to be a little bit more, maybe, hope it's realistic, not super skeptical. But I want to share with you my experience for the last 2 years in Turkey, good and bad, and both Eren and Alan touched on a lot of things. And also, I'll tell you a little bit about what I see as the opportunities. So, again, how many people know of Intel Capital here? So, that's great. I don't need to go through that paragraph. Switch. So, can I see a show of hands? How many people are entrepreneurs in the room? Wow. And I assume everyone in technology in some form. Okay, that's great. So let me start with what I see as what I observe as the challenges, and let's try to make it as interactive as possible and see. I might be wrong. I'm still learning. One of the major things that I've been seeing in Turkey is, again, there are a lot of good things about it, a lot of great metrics about Turkey. It's, Alan talked about, some of the infrastructure-related advantages of Turkey. A lot, I mean, you guys know the top Twitter country, Facebook country, a lot of people online, 91% mobile penetration, 15-20% smartphone penetration, growing like, I don't know, 50% year over year. Everything is awesome. And when you go down one level down, the secondary level metrics in Turkey are not that impressive, right? It's not very unique though, right? It's like Indonesia, Russia, Brazil, they all went through it. So everyone is online, 36 million people reported to be online. But when you look at the spending, either in commerce or advertising or gaming, it's fairly disappointing, right? Brand advertising is a tiny market in Turkey, online brand advertising. You look at the gaming, it's, yes, there are interesting companies forming up, but when you look at the activity level, the monetization seems to be lacking behind. And again, this is not unique to Turkey. All the emerging markets, when they were first started, they go through the similar curve. And Russia, when Yandex was started, there was no search market, but the advertising market was couple, $10 million. And now Yandex is an $11 billion company. So it was a major growth. Same in Brazil. I mean, Mercado Libre. When Mercado Libre started, the e-commerce market was, a couple $100 million. It was nothing. And now Mercado Libre itself is a $4 or $5 billion company. So it takes a time. These, both in Yandex and Mercado, it took almost 10 years. So Turkey is at the beginning of tech spending in many ways. So you are, especially on the consumer and enterprise, there's some spending, and some of the numbers are impressive, especially from government, but that money hasn't flown into the startup land yet, but there is the potential, but the potential is a few years ahead. That could be 5 years, that could be 10 years. We just don't know, but it will get there. So if you have that kind of the patience and commitment, there's definitely a very interesting market from a market standpoint. So, and the second part after the markets, what struck me interesting and kind of, I mean, we knew it, and Alan referred to that too, is the lack of access to capital, right? In the Valley, you have the whole spectrum of investors, to continue with Eran's theme of education. You have the nannies, au pairs like investors, then you go to elementary school, high school, like, the early stage to all the way to the later stage. In Turkey, though, you don't have that many investors. You don't have a lot of access to capital. So if you think about the US average from the day the company starts to an exit, it's around 7 to 8 years, right? So 7 to 8 years, you need a lot of different financing rounds for growth, either starting from the angel all the way to growth equity. You don't have that in Turkey. I don't even know what it takes. I'm not sure if anyone knows in the room what's the average average duration to exit in Turkey. So if it's long, you need to know that you may not have access to capital as you will do in the Valley. I mean, Eren, how many rounds of financing did you have? 4, right? From early stage, from Sugarman all the way to... That's a great example, because as the company grows, with each stages, you need that rounds, and there is this major chasm from one round to another in Turkey. So again, it's a great market, but you need to know that before you start something there, prepare some for another disappointing part was the skill set. So I met a lot of Turkish entrepreneurs. We invested in a couple. And it's technology is a fairly strong side of a lot of the Turkish entrepreneurs. And I thought so my prejudice going back to Turkey was, we're not going to be able to find these great technology people, so how are we going to solve the problem? But to counter that judgment or assumption, I saw fairly impressive companies. I mean, as Eren mentioned, like 45, you said 45 or 4 to 5? 45 engineers from there to Speed Date or Udemy included. I mean, that's impressive, right? You have Umur Citus Data created an amazing company on big data space, now going head to head with Oracles and SAPs and all those other guys out there. So there's a lot of interesting talent in technology, but the major part that I found was lacking is that the other stacks of business, product, the understanding of product, I see one of the weakest areas, like, the product management, product managers, the product marketing managers, this whole stack to UI, UX, to sales engine, to salespeople, to go-to-market or growth hackers. I mean, the growth hacker is not as popular as it used to be, the term, but it's still a fairly important portion of that whole stack. So the biggest problem I saw was it's so hard to get those people. So when you go in US, right, in Silicon Valley, you go to Facebook. When they first started, yeah, the engineers might be, whoever they are, but when you look at their marketing, ad sales, services, they got a lot of people from Google because they've done it there. You go to Pinterest, the whole corridor will be packed with a bunch of Facebook people who built a native ad stack at Facebook. Now they know, they go implement Pinterest. You could say it for Snapchat, whoever, Twitter. So the problem in Turkey, though, we don't have that, right? We don't have a lot of people who's built 100 million or billion-dollar companies and be able to transfer that knowledge from one company to another. And that seems to be, for me at least, creates a lot of challenges to building 100 million, in the future, maybe a billion-dollar company. We just don't have that skill set. So if you're building something in Turkey, just prepare for that, because there are ways to solve it, right? Bring people from here, try to convince Iran to come back to Turkey, or find a way to involve them, right? There are ways to solve it, but when you go, it's hard to come here and say everything is great, right? It's not. There are challenges, but the opportunities are immense too. So let me talk a little bit about the opportunities. Everyone, I guess, heard about the two shoe salesman story, right? There's this company sent 2 shoe salesmen to Africa. One reports back, is like, damn, this is a terrible market. No one wears any shoes, I'm coming back. The other guys report back, oh my God, you can't believe what I found. No one has a shoe here. This is probably the best business opportunity, right? It's 2 sides of the same market. So the same story in Turkey, I think. Yes, there are a lot of things wrong about this. A lot of things are fairly nascent, but still, there is a huge opportunity. You're 80 million people. The infrastructure problem, from access to technology, from online, to first start with the PC adoption, to online adoption, to mobile adoption, and mobile internet, their credit cards, their payments, everything is getting on its place. It's gonna start monetizing, but not yet. So there is a lot of opportunities. So you have companies creating a lot of interesting businesses, and one of the advantages of this region, in Turkey, Middle East, North Africa, Central Eastern Europe, is the lack of competition. You don't compete with 20 different companies for the same market. It's fairly open. There are a lot of greenfield opportunities from education all the way up to, and it's not easy, as Iran was looking at, very optimistic, but it's not easy, but there are a lot of opportunities from all those different segments, right? So my key point is, it is a very attractive market because it's mostly empty in a lot of places. It's growing. You don't have a lot of competition compared to here, but be prepared and mitigate for all those challenges with the skill set, with the access to capital, with the market dynamics in Turkey. So that's all I'm going to say. If there are any questions, I'd love to answer. Yeah, sure. Yeah, for every vertical, it's obviously the easy way to GDP per capita. People are poor, but it's not. In every market, there is a weird reason. So one of the things that was striking to me was Turkish people love soccer, right? So I thought, Digiturk is fair. Digiturk is the only owner of the license to broadcast soccer games in Turkey. And I was surprised and disappointed the number of subscribers they have. So in US, Comcast, now with Time Warner, has around 30 million users, subscribers, paying customers. So it's 10%. But Netflix has 30 million, HBO has 30 million almost, and Stars, Showtime, they each have 20-something. So they pay a lot of different levels. So in Turkey, Digiturk, when I heard, it was like 2.5 million out of 80 million, right? People die for soccer there. And there's only 2.5 million people out of 80 million is paying. So that, I found it so weird because Digiturk is just not that, it's not super expensive. If your time is spent on soccer, all day you talk about soccer, you went to the games or you watch games, how come they don't pay for it? It's such an important piece. What is that? So 2.5 million. It's like, you know, what would be like 2% or 3%? It's such a low number. So, but for example, for that case, there's pretty much every channel is over the air, free. They find a way to get probably, you know, different antennas on the top of the houses, so people get it off the air free. So they don't just go buy extra, pay extra for Digiturk, and the market doesn't form up. So the dynamics just doesn't allow that. And so for e-commerce and things like that, I mean, I wish Sina was here. I'm not sure if he's going to come. Okay. He's going to talk about some of the metrics. It's just getting there because those are fairly newer markets. So the reason I was giving the Digiturk as an example because it's fairly strong. You know, it's an old market, TV, people watch, but the dynamics of the market didn't allow the Digiturks of the world to develop because there was a free option on the over the air. So it just people didn't seem to spend extra money on from their pocket to pay for soccer. So that, I mean, pretty much every market I've seen has some weird dynamics, from OTA, online travel agencies, to gaming. They found a way. There's a reason why it's not developing, but they're all going to turn into where either US or Asia or Europe is, because that's where the markets are going. It's just coming a little bit, like, let me give you another example, is OTAs, right? Market, the whole world is switching to OTAs, kayaks of the world, Pricelines of the world. In US, that transition has happened in the last 10 to 15 years. In Turkey, it hasn't. So that's why OTAs don't make as much money as they here, but it's growing super fast. And the agencies, the tour operator agencies, you will see their offices around, they are decreasing. So the switch hasn't happened in many markets, but it is, the trend seems to be in favor of those people spending more money online or mobile. So, I mean, we are a fairly global organization. So we invest every year around $250 to $300 million across multiple countries, and most of the dollars going out of every year is outside of Turkey, outside of US. So 50% goes to a bunch of different regions, and now I think we invest in 55 countries. The reason, specifically for Turkey, Middle East, and North Africa, is to our mandate about increasing the technology adoption, where Intel can sell better products into. That's the main driver. So every deal we do is strategic. Yes.
Maybe one question. Yes, hello, my name is Joachim from Big Angel Investments. I run an angel network in Turkey. My simple question is, I mean, what can we do work with Etohum, we with our angel co-investors, what can we do to make the companies better? What can we do to bring the startup to a level that you are interested, that American VCs are interested into, let's say, more in the market, into investing in Turkish companies?
I mean, it's, I mean, there's always the macro affecting some part of the investments in Turkey. I mean, maybe 2 years ago, a lot of venture capitalists and investors in Europe and US were interested in Turkey because most of them miss the mints or bricks and they wanted to be in Turkey. But the tide has changed a little bit. Again, so I'll tell you. So US, most of that money that was supposed to go to Turkey seems to be attracting back to the US because US is the new emerging market. A lot of the opportunities and returns are here. Having said that, the good funds in Europe decided on a negative interest rate. So I'm not sure now the European money is going to be because there's level down of the region. One of the things most interesting is love to hear what you love to get the love to your company. But when I predominantly Europeans know Turkey. South Europe, they're interested. So I'm you know, the part is sure any will the whatever form has is metric is the their user. Are they, and it's this, you know, I think Aram was talking about this people who are fairly passionate about the product, and it's a good chunk of users, then where you can really, as an investor, feel comfortable that, wow, there's a market of good enough people, and now how can we scale it with this new round of capital? All right, thank you very much.
I'm more optimistic about Turkish market. And Koray is here. He's leading comparison site in Turkey, akakçe.com. Please welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here to talk with you. I'm the founder and now CEO of the Turkish shopping comparison site, akakçe.com. Our website started rather early times, like 2000. People usually ask, 2000 what? It's just 2000. So it's the website is similar to the ones in the US, like Price Grabber, like Nextech, Shopping.com, and similar one. And the 2000 year 2000 is more or less the same time line that all similar websites has started in US. Maybe I think I will tell you about my story of founding the company, the website. So to exemplify, maybe not a typical one, but just as an example of a company, in Turkey, internet company. My story comes from not from the business entrepreneurship part, but from a technical passion, let's say. I'm a computer science graduate, and I was very interested in algorithms. Mainly search and sort were the two important parts. So while working for a company, I was, as a hobby, let's say, dealing with those kind of algorithms, and year 99 showed an example of vertical search algorithms throughout the world. And so I have developed a piece of code that is mainly for vertical search. There were lots of examples those times, and that was it for me. People used to say that nowadays, when we look back, people say that, okay, you were very smart to envision such a company back in 2000. Actually, it was not a business vision, but just a technical passion. I would love to say that I had a long business vision, but I don't actually. That piece of code was delivering something, and people started to ask me questions about it. Okay, what can you do with that? Just to exemplify what can I do with that piece of code, I have developed the website. So the website is a byproduct of what I was interested back then. It's not the target, but it was just a tool to showcase what I was doing or I wanted to achieve. So website started in year 2000, but there were only 8 B2C websites in Turkey. So to compare and to have a meaningful comparison set, you have to have, I don't know, at least 100 websites, but we didn't have those times. And I was working in a professional career, so until 2006, we had a very, I mean, the website had a very slow growth, and because of the, based on the market. But starting from 2005, we observed, and I was together with my partner, then he is doing the user interface part of the website. And starting from 2005, we got some signals from the market. Users ask more, and merchants on the selling part started to ask more, and we felt that if we are now on a decision point. We had 2 options. One is either we will do it in a proper way, like a full-time job and a real company, or we will hand it out to somebody who is able to do that. So at that decision point, I was working in Germany with in a large company back then. So at that point, I decided to came back to Turkey to set up the company in 2006. So that's part of the story. And what happened in those years until now, we are more or less leading our segment. We had more than 4 million visitors monthly. So in our comparison shopping area, we are we have the largest portion of the traffic. Let's say more than 50% of the traffic in that area. Also, in general e-commerce space, we have the 5th largest traffic, together with the all B2C and C2C players of the market. So, and in 2012, we had also had a partnership with a Japanese company, e-commerce group called NetPrice, and maybe I tell you about it a little bit. It has an interesting story related with Burak. The CEO of the group and Burak met in Davos meetings, I guess, in Istanbul. You know, there was a Davos meeting in Istanbul. And then with that networking, we became partners with that company, Japanese company. And we so far, we are very happy to work with them, because, you know, Japan is a very interesting example, especially in mobile area. It's a mobile country, everything, both gadgets and usage and, you know, penetration. So, yeah, we are working very closely with them based on this partnership. They have this minority share of our company right now. We think that the consumer space, in the consumer space, the typical user behavior is becoming similar throughout the world. So a consumer in Turkey is not so much different than a consumer in US or in Latin America or in Russia or somewhere. It used to be in the past, but nowadays, based on lots of development, especially in the technology area, they are coming closer. So,
it's definitely an entertainment business. Well, I'm very happy to be in San Francisco after 32 years. This city, I fell in love when I came here, 1982. I was a student back then in US, studying as a mechanical engineer. Thank you. And life evolved all those years, and now I'm an operator in online gambling, as you say. No, it's not a gambling. It's an entertainment, all right? Well, first of all, in order to correct this misunderstanding, I will, as opposed to the other speakers, I will tell you first I need to, billionaire.com. I'm not a individual entrepreneur, as most of you in this room are. I'm a professional manager in a institutional entrepreneurship, which it turned out to be quite a successful one. I will also share with you what were the success factors and what are the success factors currently in our company. All right. I'm not touching anything. Huh? Well, unfortunately, I can't see them behind. So I don't know what they're showing there. Leave it as it is, please. All right. Okay. We are the first online sports betting company. When we say online sports betting, there is only one brand in Turkey called Iddia. It is owned by Sport Toto. It's a government organization. And all the related bets are under the jurisdiction of Sport Toto. Billionaire.com has been serving as an online sales point of Sport Toto, Iddia, and other products of Sport Toto since 2004. So our business model is on a commission base from the amount of bets that pass through our system. We are currently the market leader in sports betting with more than 45% of the market share. There are 5 other competitors who are doing the same type of business as we are. We have 11 different channels that you can play sports betting products, as well as traditional Milli Piyango, national lottery ticket. So you can purchase these products from your laptops, your pads, all sorts of pads, both iOS operated and Android operated pads, and your telephones, both iOS and Android based telephones. And also we have some special set-top applications which you can download on your PCs, and you can also play through those. Or you can call a call center and speak to a live agent and place your bets as well. We have also established a real-time online money transfer systems with 12 leading banks in Turkey. This has been one of the concerns I had in mind back in 2003 when we originally were thinking about this idea, to implement this idea. We thought that money transferring would be a real bottleneck in this business, but we found out that the technical capabilities of the banks in Turkey are so advanced. They were very willing and enthusiastic to open up their systems to integrate with our systems. Right now, you can transfer money to Billionaire system in seconds to play your sports betting or purchase your Milli Piyango tickets. And similarly, you can also transfer your winnings, your prize money, back to your bank accounts also within seconds. So this is a two-way transfer system. And this is not almost, it's cost-free to the customer. Whereas in most of the European-based betting companies, this has a cost to the customer. But whereas in our system, because of this seamless, very effective way, we are working with banks directly, this is cost-free. Right now, we have more than 1.9 million unique members. I say this unique because in order to become a member of Billionaire.com, you need to provide your name and identification number, like a social security number in the US. And as soon as we receive these three crucial information with the central database in our interior. And once we confirm that this information is correct, then we establish your membership and send you membership. So you can become immediately. This takes maximum 3-4 seconds to establish. This is also very amazing. Government organization, we call MERNIS, has opened this system to us, and we have a contract with them. Each time we request the information, we need to pay some 10 cents or 15 cents, something like that. So this is also very surprising. We don't see this type of information check and confirmation system elsewhere in Europe as well. In 2013, I'm sorry, we have realized 842 million Turkish lira. This is roughly $450 million with 2013 exchange rate. So that's the amount of money that our customers played through our systems, and our invoiced revenue is about 7.5% of that amount. So that's our revenue. We see that as you create a trustworthy service to your customers, and if you are very customer-oriented, customer satisfaction-oriented, you bypass or you eliminate all sorts of prejudice that Barış was talking about among the Turkish customers. For example, since we are working on purely electronic systems, we are also depend on other service providers. Even though we may invest a lot of software hardware in our own systems, we still need to rely on Türk Telekom's major data line to communicate from our systems in Istanbul to Sport Toto's systems in Ankara. From time to time, our own softwares or hardwares may fail, or Türk Telekom's softwares or hardwares may fail, or it does, Sport Toto's softwares or hardwares may fail. because we are operating 24 hours around the clock. But whenever our customer experiences a problem, and if this problem, even though maybe a fault of our customer, if it's not an intentionally, abusement, because we do see a lot of clever customers, if it's not an intentional abusement from the customer side, we pay their, loss or their expected loss as well as their actual loss immediately. Why we do that? Because we believe word of mouth is extremely important in this business. And two, we needed to create a very trustworthy environment because people are coming and giving their very valuable personal information. And at any given time, some $2 to $3 million of our customers' money are, sitting with our accounts, all 24-hour period. So we need to make sure that our customers are absolutely satisfied as far as our technical systems are concerned, as far as our emphasis on security and personal data protection is concerned. Next, please. Next, all right. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit on this market, how it has evolved from 2004 to 2013. This is not our market. This is the whole games of chance market in Turkey. There are three major players in the games of chance market in Turkey. Sport Toto is active in sports betting, and Turkish Jockey Club is active in horse racing, and the National Lottery, Milli Piyango, is active on lottery games. As you see, 2004, the total market was 2.7 billion Turkish liras, and in 2013, the total market reached to almost 13 billion. That you see all the growth is coming from the sports betting. In 2013, $7.1 billion is contributed by the sports betting, whereas Milli Piyango and Turkish Jockey Club horse racing compared to sports betting are relatively slow. Now we are expecting a tender in 2 weeks for the privatization of Milli Piyango, and we also expect that this Milli Piyango volume will certainly, my expectation is minimum 5 times it will grow in the next 12 months after it's been privatized. So I expect a huge, exponential growth, and then maybe flatten out throughout other years. Okay, next is... Okay, and a little bit on, I'll skip to the other one because it will show you exchange rate in different. The gaming turnover, billionaire this time, has experienced from 2005 to 2013. We started with 50 million Turkish lira of gaming passing through our systems in 2005, and it has reached to 832 million. And during this period, we have also achieved from 200,000 unique customers to almost 1.9 million unique customers. Okay. Now, I will also, this is very confidential information, but I will also share with you. We have initial investment in our company back in 2004 and 6 in two chunks. We received $2.5 million of initial investment. And as of last year, end of last year, we have distributed $41.4 million of dividends. And this business is still continuing. And turnover per employee in 2013 was $5 million. And we are one of the highest EBITDA generating company in Turkey, generating more than around $150,000 per employee in 2013. And we are very anxiously waiting for the privatization of Milli Piyango because we see a huge opportunity there. Okay, what were the critical success factors in Billionaire's history? As I said in the beginning of my conversation, we are a good example of an institutional entrepreneurship. When we look at our history, we had three investors. One of them was Turkcell. Definitely we utilized its name, its cloud in Ankara. It has been a huge help and being presence there. And we also had two other shareholders with 20 and 25%. So 55%, 25%, and 20%. Even though their shareholding was not equal, when we look at the management rights in the company, they all had one-third, one-third, one-third. And this, therefore, gave a huge flexibility and also importance to the professional management of the company. And also, when you act as a entrepreneur, institutional entrepreneurial, and if your major shareholder, or if you have only one shareholder, decides that your business does not fall in parallel or may jeopardize elsewhere in that big picture, they may not let you grow, or they may ask you to change your business models according to their bigger pictures, whatever that bigger picture indicates. But in our case, since all shareholders, in terms of management rights, were equally represented in the company, they acted as a pure financial investor, thus giving a huge emphasis on the professional management. And because of our luck, maybe, we did turn out, it turned out that we did all right. So everybody was happy during this period. And what were the importance of this institutional entrepreneurship? Since we have been, we started as a company in a very highly regulated sector, and we do continue to operate in a very highly regulated sector. We have lots of big, communications, connections in Ankara, and if we, or myself, or a group of people that we have started this company, would have acted alone as individuals, it would be almost impossible for us to go and make the people in Ankara to convince that they should change the laws and regulations so that this type of business can be created. I'll give you one small example. Back in 2005, after we started Milli Sport Toto, we decided to introduce Milli Piyango ticket sales in our system. So I went and had numerous meetings, not only with the general manager of Milli Piyango, but with all deputy general managers, with all critical managers in different parts of the Milli Piyango organization, and try to convince them that we can very easily sell their very traditional Milli Piyango tickets in our system without having any problem to their individual responsibilities. At the beginning, they had a huge resistance to that, and with our very insisted, week after week visits, they finally decided that they can do it. But at this time, they wanted to share this responsibility with somebody in higher levels, and which was the minister in charge of Milli Piyango. So I took I went and asked for a meeting request from the deputy minister in the Ministry of Finance. If I would have done it by Said Kayahan alone, he would have never given that meeting request for me. And I used Turkcell, of course. And immediately, the next day, he accepted me. I went and explained our, progress in the last 1 year. And he immediately understood what I was saying. He picked up the telephone and told the general manager that so and so, let's start this business tomorrow. And that was the end of the story. And the very next day, I went back and signed the contract. And since then, we are selling Milli Piyango tickets in our system. So in short, the name of the story is, you have to use the strength of your institutions properly in order to get successful results. But that's not enough, and you have to continue throughout that period your mutual trust between the company, Billionaire, and in this case, with the Milli Piyango. This is very important. We also enjoyed attracting talent, because I remember as a company, we started with 3 or 4 people. Am I passing the time? I'm sorry. I deserve it, thank you. Okay, now that, it was not very easy to attract talent because people were saying, what is Billionaire? What does it do? And they all have this very prejudiced understanding of gambling. But when we say we are a part of Turkcell company, the doors were open. So it was very easy to attract talent. So this was another reason we enjoyed institutional entrepreneurship. Also, we had huge benefit to be a Turkcell company when we went and discussed the price of server per server price in Oracle database, for example. They gave the same price as they were giving to Turkcell. As a small startup company, I'm sure they could have charged us minimum twice or 3 times the price that they did back then. Similarly, Microsoft licenses, Oracle licenses, SAP licenses, all those licenses were priced at Turkcell prices. And as I said, because of our unique management structure, this company has been managed as the managers instead of investors. Investors are just coming every month. We hold a regular board of directors meeting, and we share every single detail of our operations with our shareholders every month, regularly. And we also have a very detailed budgets, and we compare every month with our budgets. So this also gives us a very flexible, a working environment.
Yeah, congratulations. Why did Turkcell invest in your company?
Okay. In 2001, 2002, I was working as a Turkcell professional back then. And in Turkcell, we had a group, we were a group of people, and our major target was to create a value-added business which we can use Turkcell's data network. These 3Gs, 4Gs were being discussed at that time. So we needed to create a business which will use this data. And it turned out to be a very successful one.
What's Turkcell's ownership right now?
Throughout these periods, Turkcell sold, but Turkcell is a different story. We are not going to discuss Turkcell here.
Okay, one last final. Are you going to bid actually in the tender for this Milli Piyango, your company?
No, we are not. But whoever will win this tender will definitely would like to work with us, because we have a huge infrastructure and very active 1.9 million members. So,
do you know who's bidding for that?
Of course, yes, it is public. There are 3 interested groups. One of them is Net Holding, and the other one is Lotomatica, GTEC, together with some Czech Republic investors. And the third one is, very surprisingly, a local Ankara-based construction company, ERG, ERG, ERG İnşaat. I am very surprised how they end up in this process. I don't know. We'll see.
So the payment system or the money transfer system you mentioned, the money transfer system that you mentioned is very interesting. That sounds like a potential opportunity maybe to create another payment system or a mobile payment system, considering your partnership with Turkcell. I imagine that's another regulated domain. Is there any plans, or are you looking at that area, given that you have a very interesting infrastructure there, obviously?
First of all, it's not very easy, even though we have been experiencing this very, state-of-the-art technology payment systems. Why? Banks in Turkey are very, very highly talented in this area, and they do have their own software engineers systems, state-of-the-art technology systems, where whichever these ideas that come to our minds, they go ahead and do it immediately. They do have that current talent already been employed by them. In fact, for example, I see PayPal has been trying to be active in Turkey for some time, and now there is a organization of banks in Turkey called Bankalar Arası Kart Merkezi, now introduced their own PayPal system. After that, PayPal's chance, I believe, has been diminished. It's very difficult for them to exist in Turkey after BKM.
And
sorry.
Yes. And my question is also related to payment system. You mentioned about the money transfer and transactions, and I am just wondering, what's your perspective about the bitcoins?
Well, my perspective about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a scam, I think. Next question. I felt like Popovich. I watched it right here. Next. Yes.
But you manage to bring new customers at the first place, because I know that basically you're comfortable gambling or entertaining yourself in Turkey, but taking it to the online platform, you might have faced big obstacles in that area. So how did you manage to bring in new customers, and did you use any of the marketing tools to basically attract your customers, users on the website?
Of course, we used all the customers that you can count immediately, that all different tools that may come to your mind. But on the contrary, we found that it has been extremely easy to attract customers to our system. Nowadays, for the past 3 years indeed, we don't do any specific focus on attracting new customers, but to my surprise, every year we are getting 170, 180,000 new customers. And we are not doing any specific emphasis on customer retention as well as customer acquisition. It has been very easy. Why? As Barış Bey said, football, and it has been the one of the major sports betting event in Turkey. Is very popular sports in Turkey, elsewhere in the world as well, except US, and therefore there are lots of newspapers, magazines, TV programs talk about football continuously almost. So iddia is there all the time. We didn't need to do any additional effort. Is that right? Thank you.
I was curious, so where do your customers come? Do they come from search engines, or do they know your brand before coming to your site? And why don't you try to grow your business? Because I would imagine that if you put more emphasis on new customer acquisition, you would grow your top line revenues with them. So why don't you care about it?
No, I'm not saying we don't care about it. Of course, we do care about it. What I'm saying is we do get new customers without having, putting additional effort into it. The name of the game is not to get the customers. Once the customer is in the store, they need to play. They need to deposit money and play. That's more challenging than getting the customers into the store. That's what I was. Huh? Yes, but going back almost 10 years ago, my assumption was at that time we would have more active customers in any given month than we currently have today. But their average revenue per user per month would be less than what we have today. For example, last month, not the month before, April was our peak month. We had 430 lira ARPU. This was very, very big. I would have preferred that to be 200 lira per user per month, whereas active customers that given month was 260,000 active customers, unique active customers. That number would be 500,000, 600,000, because we do have a system already invested to handle 700, 800,000 customers at any given time.
But my question was, do they come from search engines, do they advertising?
Everything. Yes, we do use search engines. We do use advertisement. We do use advertisement on boards together with the football clubs. We use very effectively in radio. Radio is very effective medium. And also internet, CPMs. All right? Yes. All right, I'll take that criticism. Make sure that we don't bother you anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last session for this first part, Sinan and Ihsan will be here for fireside chat. They're, I think, chatting over there. And they're coming. Ihsan.
Sina is too late. So we're going to sit, right? Okay. So first I'm going to introduce myself. This is Ihsan. I was working for the Koç Group 7 years, 8 years. Then I have started a startup in Turkey with my co-founder in Istanbul. Then we raised money from the US, and one of our investors, he was here. I don't know where is he right now. So we moved to California, LA, Glendale. Then, end of the story, we sold our company, the biggest irrigation company, Rainbird in US. Then I have started a Fit Startup Factory, which is the accelerator program, which is not focused on e-commerce, machine-to-machine software as a service, other type of startups. 6 of them doing well, other ones going to die, I guess. And now we have started to invest the companies, early proof of concept fund, you can say that. I'm working with Hüsnü Özyeğin, maybe everyone knows Hüsnü Özyeğin, who is the founder of the Finansbank, and he sold Finansbank $4 billion or something like that. And I'm teaching in the university, that's it. So if after Sina introduce himself, I'm going to do the fire chat with Sina, ask questions. So we have lots of points we have to discuss, because he was an entrepreneur, he was a professional guy, he's an investor. He started a foundation right now. What else? His husband, his father. Okay, Sinaj. Maybe we can start from your first, how can I say, professional life, the eBay. Just give some speech about the eBay, then we can keep going.
Well, my professional life was not only eBay, but my professional life was something about 15 years, so I came very late to any entrepreneurship. And I think I was 40 years old when I started to, launch Marcophony and all the other entrepreneurship stuff. And honestly, until I was 36, 37, I even do not think about becoming an entrepreneur. But then I met some other entrepreneurs, a guy called Niklas Zenström, and then I started to think about becoming an entrepreneur.
Actually, the Kaufman Foundation, maybe you know the biggest entrepreneurship education foundation in the US, they are behind the Startup America. Their research is launched 2 months ago. Most successful entrepreneurs started to be an entrepreneur after 35. So you are one of the example of them. So how did you decide to leave the professional life?
It is like...
and you are a German based, right?
No, at that time I was already in Turkey. But shortly after that I left eBay. And the thing is, you do it like a monkey is jumping from tree to tree. So you hold the one, you don't leave the other one. Once you hold the second tree, you jump. It was similar like this. So we founded, I have two co-founders. We founded the company. I continued a few months more with eBay. The company was running, and then after a few months, I switched totally to Marcophony. But it happened very fast, so it happened everything in really a few months.
Is everybody knows the Marcophony, right? Okay, we just missed that.
It is, at the end, it's the online flash sales site.
Yeah. So people always talking about the challenges starting a business, but I don't want to focus that part. I want to focus the scaling part. What was the biggest challenges when you are scaling your business in the Marcophony? I guess it's after 2 years it started to scale.
No, actually, Marcophony was different. Marcophony started to scale from day one. And there was a big first mover advantage, which means back in 2008, there was nothing like online fashion in Turkey. And then Marcophony came and then said also, it is cheap, it is a bargain, it is only today, you have to buy. So this is something that people reacted very well in Turkey. And I remember that we have collected 1 million members in 10 months without having any marketing department. So it was really word of mouth.
Without spending money.
And zero spent, really zero spent. And it came in the first 10 months, we had 1 million, which was for 2008, 2009, an incredible number of members.
So what was the challenges?
The challenge was always to manage the growth. So we were always running behind. The first years we had 600%, 300%, 150% growth the first 3 years. And whatever you did, the growth overcome everything. We moved at the very first time, we were in Istanbul, Asmal Masjid. 3 months later, we were in Harbiye. 6 months later, we were in Gazi Osman Pasha. Another year later, we have a second building in Kurtköy. So it was like, oh shit, we need to relocate again. We need to find another 50 people, etc. The last 2 years were optimizing. So the growth came down, and then it was optimizing, becoming profitable, playing with all the small screws and stuff like this.
So I heard in your one speech is about the logistics and managing the inventory, which is the biggest issue for you guys. And you always say that when people talking about online business, e-commerce, but the biggest challenge is the offline side, about managing the logistics and offline.
Yeah, sure. Last month, Marcophony sold in Turkey 1 million articles, which is 400,000 orders. And to manage this, you get every day 35,000 articles into your warehouse, and then you send it packaged, customized to your customers. You get 20% back every day, and this needs to be organized. The main challenge and the main value is always in e-commerce, like also with the same with Amazon. It's not the homepage of Amazon, it's the logistics center, it's the warehouse, it's the service, it's the customer support, whatever they offer. It's the same with Marcophony. And we did this also in 5 countries. So I'm not sure if anybody knows this, but we opened up Australia in 2009. So in Australia we had 250 people working. Then Ukraine, 450 people. Greece, Poland and Korea. We shut down Korea. We sold Australia and Greece. And recently we sold the 2 other countries together with Turkey.
Actually, Korea is a good example for the failure, if you remember. So just give a little, elevator pitch about why did you change the Korea plan? You have started Korea, but you quit it very fastly.
We quit to start a new country. If you have a running system, is something about 6 months and $500,000, at least back in 2010. So we shut down Korea after 6 months because we put up a European site, which means the site is short and you need to click to go to other sites. Korean sites are long and you need to scroll, not click. We made everything different than they used to be because our concept worked in Turkey well, in Australia well, in Ukraine well, but we completely disregarded the market specifics. So therefore, and the good thing with e-commerce is you can measure everything. If you have 35 customers after 6 months, it's a good sign to shut it down.
Usually we heard that, again, the one research they published that it says that biggest failing problem of the startups. First one is no market need. Second one is the team conflicts. So usually people talking about the co-founders problems, founders problems with teams. So you have 3 co-founders. So how did you manage it, working together?
Oh, well, actually we have been 4.
4, I'm sorry.
But the one, nobody knows the first one because he left very early. And we had always very simple rule at the beginning. If somebody is against something, we don't do it. Sometimes you miss out opportunities, but usually it works pretty well. Later on, when Naspers invested, we said, okay, this doesn't work anymore. We will have roles. So I had the easiest role as CEO, and then we played according our roles. This also helps. And then all the usual, daily issues you might have, you overcome if you stick to the roles. It helps.
So when did you start to exit from the Marcophonia? When did you start to think about to sell your company, and how did you prepare the Marcophonia to exit?
I think
it happened naturally, or you did plan it?
I think we have been always very open-minded for an exit. So I would say exit was always a part of the game, but we never started an exit like we never said 3 years ago we start the exit now. We have been approached, and then you have some opportunities, and the decision is always first of all, do you need money? Second of all, what's the future? So can you sell your remaining shares? Is it good to sell your shares or keep it? And if the offer is giving you something you can maybe earn in the next X years, you can consider to sell. And this is what happened 3 years ago. We sold more than 50% to the Naspers group, and then had some options, and we sold the remaining part 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I don't ask going to the valuation. I'm speaking. I'm sorry. I skipped to the valuation question.
I don't talk about valuation.
Yeah, I know that. People say to me, ask the valuation. Then that's why. So just in Turkey?
No. 9 are in Turkey and 7 are outside of Turkey. 4 in the valley.
7 in the valley.
4 in the Turkey.
4. I'm sorry.
4 in the valley. All my last 7 investments have been made outside of Turkey.
Okay, it's great. So, what did you see when you invest in startups? What kind of startups are you investing? Just e-commerce or different types?
I started with e-commerce, but it's getting over the e-commerce now. So, I think for myself, it depends very much on the team. So, if I find good teams, I believe that good teams can handle bad ideas or bad topics. So therefore, I invest usually in the team, in scalability, and in income models. So I don't care that much about if this is mobile, if this is software as a service or e-commerce. And then we are facing some problems. So investing, the first step is easy. There is a certain ticket size, you invest on your own or you invest with some co-investors. This works in Turkey pretty well. The problem in Turkey is the exit line. So Turkey had 2 exits in 15 years of internet, more or less. This one is Gitti Gidiyor, the other one is Marcophonia. So anything else is still in the growth phase. This is also the reason why I started to distribute or allocate investments.
So when you invest in startups, maybe actually teams, what did you observe about the mistakes or the missing points in the startups or the teams in Turkey? I'm asking the Turkey part.
I'm not sure if this is something specific about Turkey, but in Turkey, 2 things happen pretty much. The first one is they start with a very high motivation, and if there is not the same success on the same motivation level, it goes down like hell. So after 6 months, at the time being, I have one company which raised 1 million last year. They didn't get the success, and now they are dissolving the company. Not pivoting, not trying different, etc. They are really dissolving the company. I think this is one challenge. It might be a Turkish issue to have this. Actually, the second one is a little bit with the team composition. From the 7 Turkish companies I have invested in, 4 has been with co-founders, and in each company, one co-founder left the company.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, we had some issues we choose the one startup in our Fit Startup Factory, which is the best one, and they just pitched to the GBA. You weren't there at that time. So GBA say they want to raise just $30,000, and GBA said we are going to invest $300,000. After the meeting, all of them left the company. They start to fight. They start to talk about the term sheet inside of the co-founders, and they just gave up. Okay, so maybe you can answer the question the different one. You are investing companies in Silicon Valley and other countries and Turkey. What are the difference between the entrepreneurs or founders you can see? Like a patient, talent.
It is very difficult to match the people from Silicon Valley. The education level here is much higher. Deep technology is here, so the things happening here are much more sophisticated. Turkey is a land of opportunities, which means they can act very fast. The companies can grow like hell, especially if it's consumer-facing companies. But I think still the Turkish ecosystem and Turkish entrepreneurs have to learn, how to get investments, how to scale a company, how to create a big company, how to exit, stuff like this. I think Turkey is still premature in this point.
So also we have the problem about the mentors in Turkey. We don't have any mentors. Nobody can help the entrepreneurs in Turkey. Burak? Okay. So I'm going to come to the other part of the map, the ecosystem in Turkey. People always talking this ecosystem word is very popular in Turkey and all the world actually. When you check to the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Turkey, what are the missing points you can see in helping to the entrepreneurs be a successful or to be entrepreneur?
I don't think that in Turkey we have a big entrepreneurial culture. There is a nice Turkish word, girişken millet ama girişimci değil. So therefore I don't think Turkey has to learn about entrepreneurship. And but the biggest obstacle in Turkey, but maybe all over Europe, is the money. Look what Silicon Valley companies can get on funding and how fast. Funds with 50 to 100 million in Silicon Valley micro funds. In Turkey, 50 million fund would be the biggest fund for technology. The biggest ever first-time fund in Europe is $160 million, which will take $160 million is nothing here. To develop an ecosystem, you need some money. In Turkey, we have more ideas than money. We don't have money. We will not see stuff like Twitter and other
because of the possibility. Exactly. So, and maybe he's going to launch the foundation, which is Entrepreneurship Foundation. So, what's your aim? What's the mission of the foundation?
What I have decided is to put a certain part of all my proceeds in the last 5 years to charity. One piece of that foundation, the Entrepreneurship Foundation, is doing something what the usual ecosystem in Turkey, but also in Europe, is doing. The usual ecosystem is something people who decided to be entrepreneurs. Helping them, helping them, helping them, Kaufman Foundations helping them, etc. What I would like to do is, I have a strict selection process. I will select students, so everybody younger than 24 years can apply. And whoever run through the application process will get 500 Turkish lira per month until end of the studies. The only thing I expect from these guys is to meet an entrepreneur every 3 months, and I will ask the entrepreneur to share his story, because entrepreneurship is all about inspiration. I started like that. I had no clue with 25. If somebody would have told me in my 20 ages entrepreneurship is something cool, I would have at least tried it. I had not the chance, and I believe by inspiration we can motivate many young people to that. That's the aim of the Entrepreneurship Foundation.
Nice one. And the other question people always ask, and they tweeted us to me, but I hate this question actually. What do you recommend to the entrepreneur candidates which industries or which business is good, has an opportunity in the future. I hate this because all entrepreneurs should first see the pain, then decide to be entrepreneur. In Turkey, people start to say, I want to be entrepreneur, so which business I can do? It's ridiculous, actually. But you can give your ideas.
Well, I believe that you need a solution regardless what happens. So if there is a problem and if you see the solution for that, you can go for that. It can be mobile, it can be e-commerce, it can be software or hardware. Look at Nest. So this is nothing which nobody would have thought about 3 years ago, but now it is changing the thermostats in the world. And Tesla is another thing. These are big examples, but I think you need a certain problem. I met a guy called, I think his name was Sir Terence Hill. He was from Canada. He founded something like 100 companies, and 94 of them was still running. And he said always he started every company when having solving a customer issue. So a company said, oh, it would be so nice if we would have this and that, and then he started a company, went to that customer, then worked with them, and then he always assumed that others will have the same problem. And he's, I think, one of the most successful serial entrepreneurs in the world. So he's in the same league like Richard Branson. There are 3 of them. Yeah. He is one of the 3.
So and I know him very well, so he's always doing these startups, putting the incubation of that company, the customer. He usually focuses on B2B startups, so he's putting them the incubation side. It's great. So I'm going to let you to ask questions, but my last question, what is next about Sina?
Good question. I think I will have an answer end of the summer. But let me tell you that I don't think that I'm going to have a new startup in e-commerce. I don't think that I will leave Istanbul. I don't think that I will work corporate. Somehow it will be more type of venture capitalist.
Oh,
yeah.
You give some
money. Money is the key, or money makes the world go around.
Okay. Is it just in Turkey?